Thanks for joining me, and today we're going to be tying a Greenwells Nymph. So the hook I have in the vise is a Fuller Mill jig force short, black nickel. It's a size 14, but to be honest they're probably a bit oversized in comparison with standard hooks. That's it, up against a size 12 Camazan. Shank length's pretty much the same. Only exception would be it has a wider gape. And you'll notice, compared to a lot of the other jig hooks, the downturn is with a conventional eye. So already mounted on the hook, I have a 4mm gold slotted tungsten bead, and the thread I'm going to be using is a Unithread 80 in light olive. Now originally the Greenwells was tied with a yellow or primrose silk, and then coated with cobbler's wax, but I find this is a very close colour, a very good colour match for it, so I've whipped on. Just build up a nice head of thread securing your bead. Just take a quick look to make sure the bead's not twisted, and then we'll work down towards the bend of a hook. Just before the bend starts, we'll stop there, and we'll add our tail. So for the tail, I've got it's a Red Game Chinese cock cape. I'm just going to pull a few fibres off a feather. You could use coq de Leon if you want it. So just pinch off a handful of fibres. It's probably 8 to 10 or so if I was to make a guess. We'll catch it in. Length of the tail, probably in around the same length as the shank, maybe slightly shorter. There's a couple of fibres just in my near side that aren't lined up with the rest, so go in with my scissors nice and carefully. Trim those off, and then we'll secure everything down working up to our head. Just trim them off a little bit now. There we go. Back up basically to our bead, and at this point we're going to catch in some gold wire. So I have here Simmerfly 0.2mm in gold. And I'll just catch it in. I'll catch it in at the top. And again, touch and turns the whole way down. Not very many materials in this fly, quite a simple tie. Looks very effective. Again, there's another hackle fibre. Get that out of the way. So just tying our wire down. Bring our thread down to where we tied our tail in. And again, back up. This just going over myself a little bit there. Just using the thread to create the body. Maybe just go down and up again, making that a little bit thicker. It's a big hook, so you could probably get away with that. And back up to maybe 2mm, 3mm off our bead. We're going to take our wire and go in the same direction as our thread. Open turns, either even or getting larger as we go up, and then over the top with our thread. 4 turns behind the wire, a few turns in front of it, and then you can either come in with your scissors or just worry it off. I find just wiggling the wire till it breaks a lot cleaner than the scissors. It's also a lot better for your scissors. I'm just going to add a little bit of Thorax here So I have some Sci-Bi olive Spectre dubbing. I'll just take a pinch of that. You don't need very much of it. And then just a couple of mil behind the bead, a few turns. You don't have to go right up to the bead. And then I'm going to add a small hackle. So I have a small Indian hen cape here. Nothing fancy about it, relatively cheap. It's probably somewhere between a Greenwells and a light red game. I have a feather picked off. Maybe not as easy to use as genetic hackles. Obviously they're a lot shorter, but very good value for money if you're only starting out. You can pick them up in most fly tying shops, and they're quite cheap. I think that one was about £4 or £5. So just off our upper tip after we've exposed it and trimmed it. So 3 or 4 turns just to hold it down. If I can find my hackle pliers here. There they are. And then take our hackle pliers. They can be a little bit delicate, so you have to go easy with them. Just folding the fibres back, and then we'll come in one turn. You're only really getting a turn and a half there before you run out of feather fibre, but that's okay, that's not a bad. Happy enough with that. And then when I go to trim my hackle stock off, I'll push my tying silk out of the way, come in with my scissors, trim it off nice and tight. Obviously you don't want to nick your thread at this point. A couple more turns just to hold it in place, and then again coming in with our olive Spectre dubbing. So for this, a nice tight noodle, and what we're going to go for here is a hidden whip finish, so I don't really want to see any of my thread. It'll be whipped through the dubbing noodle. So one turn, and then come in with your whip finish tool, and then just over the top of it, 1, 2, 3, and pull that in. That should hide your thread, and then obviously the dubbing on your thread protects the thread, so it's a pretty strong knot, even though it's only the 3 turns. I was just looking for a little bit of Velcro there. And then just come in with my Velcro, tease some of the fibres out, not too much. Hopefully when you're fishing it, the fish will tease the fibres out and rough it up. So there we go. Maybe not entirely sticking to the true Greenwells pattern, but it's just sort of the way I do it. And there we have my Greenwells nymph tied in a jig hook. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.